Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Ann Ryan, and I am the Chief Marketing Officer at Rays of Gratitude. And today we have Dr. Wallace J Nichols with us. We are so happy to have you today. I hope you're doing well. I want to get started with this interview with you telling us a little bit about your background and how you got into the field of conservation.
Well, I think it's good to see you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah.
First of all, uh, I think I'm probably like a lot of people. As a kid, I fell in love with nature. I fell in love with turtles and frogs and being in the water, um, in any form. And that's kind of my happy place as a kid. And first one in, last one out of the pool, of the lake, of the ocean, the waves, whatever it was. And then I learned that you could align that love and passion with a career, and I decided to pursue a career as a marine biologist, um, partly because of the feeling that I had when I was in the water. I just really liked that, and I love turtles, and so it all kind of came together. And as I kind of moved along that process, I realized there was a lot of work for us to do to make sure we took better care of the environment, of endangered species, of ecosystems and habitats, and that led me to get increasingly involved in various aspects of conservation, from saving sea turtles to studying their migrations and plastic pollution, climate change, sea level rise, overfishing, all kinds of troubles that turtles get themselves into, marine protected areas, and now I would say increasingly really looking at the human dimension and what connects people to the environment most deeply, and so the neuropsychology or neuroconservation, I call it. So
That's
that's the quick
amazing.
version.
Yeah, I grew up on the coast, so I feel that very deeply, that need to be around the water.
Yeah.
And I know you have a very extensive list of career accomplishments. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about the organization you co-founded, Sea Turtles.
Yeah, that was so much fun to talk about that organization and the origins of it. The name CSEE Turtles, a little
Yeah.
bit of a play on words, and sometimes you have to spell it so that people understand what we're saying and how to find us. Um, but basically, it grew out of the observation that people wanted to go see sea turtles and may have been finding their way to not the best experiences, perhaps. Maybe like I don't know, a big resort or a hotel or something that wasn't necessarily what they were looking for. And so Brad Nahill and I decided, let's start a project that help people connect with conservation projects where their time and their money and their work and their effort and their creativity would go straight into really helping, where there are no questions whatsoever, sort of a conservation brokerage, if you will, just to connect people searching on the internet for how do I see a sea turtle with the best options. And that's how it started. And Brad is now the president of and co-founder of seaturtles.org, and it's grown from there. So it started as kind of, we called it conservation travel, where we would connect people who wanted to volunteer with the best places where they could help the most. And now there are various other components to the work, helping travelers reduce their plastic footprint. We have a project called Billion Baby Turtles, which is kind of an audacious attempt to eventually support the release of 1 billion sea turtle hatchlings around the world to increase their odds of survival, uh, and numerous other initiatives related to hawksbill shell and the trade of in the hawksbill sea turtle shell. Um, and so it's kind of
We're
grown.
very interested in that because we are partnered with the Hawksbill Project. So we do a lot of focus on Hawksbill specific conservation trips. And that's kind of what sparked my interest in sea turtles was your app, the Seashell app, and
Yes.
that's incredible. Do you want to talk a little bit more about what that is for people who don't know?
Yeah, so people may be familiar with hawksbill shell indirectly. If you have tortoise shell glasses frames, a lot of people have the fake tortoise shell, or if you see a guitar pick or the pick guard on a guitar, or sometimes hair clips, they have that mottled brown style. Well, that originally was the style that was made out of the shell of the hawksbill sea turtle back in the day. Now that's no longer the case, but there's still an industry for hawksbill shell, um, and it's a tradition in some places. But problem is, if you take a turtle and remove its shell, the turtle's not going to make it through that process, obviously. And the overhunting of hawksbill turtles endangered them globally. And so there's been an effort to slowly protect and restore hawksbill sea turtles wherever they occur, to reduce the pressure on them. Unlike some species of sea turtle, hawksbills aren't popular for their meat. Some turtles are hunted. People eat the turtle, not the hawksbill, but they are very popular for their beautiful shells. So we want to encourage people to see the shell while snorkeling or swimming or scuba diving, but not encourage the market for consumption of the shell. So um, when you travel, sometimes you see gifts, for sale made out of the turtle shell, sea turtle shell, and we created this app, sort of a smart little app that helps you identify whether, in fact, what you're looking at is hawksbill shell or something else. And it's sort of a, I don't know, simple tool if you're if you're interested, and you
Yeah.
can put it on your phone and you can get that conversation going, and sort of help the people you're with not buy the wrong thing. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't think there are that many people in the world who really want to buy um, a product made out of an endangered animal and contribute to its demise. I think there's people who just don't know
Mhm.
or haven't thought about it much and kind of stumble into a shop um, and buy things that look pretty because it's a beautiful shell.
Yeah.
But so part of the project is to support all the different projects around the world who are um, working hard to make sure the hawksbill sea turtle doesn't go extinct. And this app is one tool to help with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. It's such a cool way to use AI and to,
that's
make
right.
it accessible for people everywhere and people who don't know. We're in conservation, so it's like in our face a lot of the times, but before I was in it, I wouldn't have ever thought about it. So I really do think that's one of the coolest things you guys are doing. I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about the blue economy. So you are a senior fellow at the Center of the Blue Economy at the Middlebury Institute of International Studies at Monterey in California.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a little bit about what the blue economy is and how your background in marine conservation kind of contributes to your role there.
Yeah, so the term blue economy simply refers to the part of our economy that's based on the blue parts of the planet, namely the water and the oceans. Generally, blue economy leans towards ocean stuff, but I would like it to include lakes and rivers and any sort of aquatic economy, um, as it should. So I would say when I went through school, high school, college, grad school, there wasn't a term for the blue economy. The watery parts of the economy were undervalued or underappreciated. When you read your environmental science book, there might be a little chapter at the end about water and oceans, but it was kind of an afterthought, pretty surprisingly to me. And so this concept is a way to recognize that so much of our global economy rests on the water in one form or another. Um, all of our lives are connected to the blue economy, whether we realize it or not. It's not just fishing and tourism, but all kinds of commerce take place at the edge of the water or on the water. And so the Center for the Blue Economy endeavors to really quantify that and then move it into a more sustainable direction. My role in that broad conversation, as I see it, is to advance the conversation to include a piece of the blue economy or a piece of our green economy as well that we usually leave out, and that's the cognitive, emotional, psychological, social, spiritual health and wellness benefits of nature, of the environment. Um, we generally leave that out of our spreadsheets when we calculate the value of, a lake, a river, an ocean, a forest. Um, but it actually has tremendous value and public health value. Uh, whether you can put a very solid number on it or just words as you're making progress on quantifying it doesn't really matter, but just leaving it out is a problem. And I say that because if we undervalue anything, if we undervalue sea turtles, if we undervalue each other, if we undervalue the ocean, bad things happen every time. We know that from our history, and a lot of what's done in the environmental and social justice movements is about fixing the value equation between us and between humans and nature. So when we update the blue economy to include all these emotional wellness benefits, I call it the third E. So we have the economic benefits, the ecological benefits, and then the emotional benefits. I think as a water lover and a coastal resident and an ocean advocate, you might be having a kind of rough day, but you go to the ocean and it's the big reset button. Doesn't solve all your problems on land, but it certainly helps you manage the ups and downs. And I think that's true for literally millions, if not billions of people.
I think that's a perfect kind of segue to talk about Blue Mind. I'm currently reading this book. When I found out that we were going to be speaking, I started reading it. Love to have you kind of talk about how the book came to be, and we can talk about a little bit more about what it's about as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about it. Before we dive into the Blue Mind
Yeah.
book, I want to give a shout out on this book. This is a great,
Yes.
just brand new book. Our friend Chris Figner,
Yes.
amazing biologist and sea turtle advocate. Her new book is just all about her life with sea turtles, as the title says. And I'm honored to have blurbed it on the back as a fellow
Amazing.
turtle scientist and lover. But really, that's my book recommendation for the year.
Yes.
Um,
We are big fans of her also.
she's
She's
amazing.
incredible.
Yeah, so my job is to support my fellow writers and biologists and sea turtle lovers. My
Yes.
book's called Blue Mind.
Yes.
One of the books I wrote is called Blue Mind that you mentioned, and it's in its 10th anniversary edition, coming out late this year. Um, and I wrote it because I wanted to read it. I went looking for a book about the psychological and emotional wellness benefits of healthy oceans and lakes and rivers, kind of because that's where I come from. Kind of that's, as I explained, that's how I got to be a marine biologist. The waters helped me through, ups and downs, and I thought this could be a really good tool for me as a ocean conservationist. So I went looking for this book that I wanted to read and apply, and I couldn't find the book that I wanted to read, and tried really hard to find the book about your brain on water. And I
Mhm.
found all kinds of other excellent books about your brain on music and your brain on stress and your brain on happiness and neuromarketing and neuroplasticity and um, all kinds of wonderful topics in that space. You could call it applied neuroscience, that part of the bookstore or the library. but not the book I was looking for. In fact, it wasn't really much out there about your brain on nature. And I thought, what's going on? Why are we so slow on that front? A book about this connection to water should exist. And so I tried to get some smart people that I knew to write it, and I was not successful. And I pitched it to um, the late great neurologist, brilliant writer, music lover, water lover, giant intellect, Dr. Oliver Sacks. And I highly recommend everything he's ever written. And his NPR interviews and everything he's ever said really is brilliant. So I pitched it to him, and thinking he's going to love this idea and he's going to write this book and then I can read it. I was just so excited. And he said, "It's a fine idea. You do it."
Yeah.
And inside my head, I said, "Oh crap." But out loud, I said, "Yes, sir." And it took 5 years, and I brought him a hardcover first edition copy signed, Dear Oliver, in New York City. And he just lived a little while longer after that and passed, sadly. The last book he contributed is called Gratitude. So just throw that in there because it connects to
Amazing.
our conversation. Lovely little book about his reflections on life and end of life, and just a massive intellectual contributor right to the end of his days. And so I ended up writing Blue Mind because he said to, and since then been advocating for the ideas, the Blue Mind knowledge and practice. There's been a decade more research about how we interact with water and how it's good for us in various forms, therapeutically and emotionally, in terms of our creativity, connecting us to each other, building empathy through the experience of awe and wonder. And it's all based in cognitive science and neuropsychology, even neurochemistry. And so it's, I think, changing the way we think about our ocean and water messaging and how we educate young people. We used to say the ocean is important because it gives us food, regulates climate, gives us oxygen, biodiversity. That's all very true and important. And now we also add to that, it gives us peace of mind. It gives us creativity, gives us a sense of freedom and dignity. It helps us heal when we need it. It helps us connect to the people we love. It's a great place for romance. It's a great place to play. It's a good place to exercise your body, your mind. It soothes your heart and your soul when you need that. We go there to grieve and mourn. And if we wreck the place, none of that works. So that's just a whole other bunch of things we can say about why we need to protect and restore lakes, rivers, and oceans. And I think it's a better message. So that's really what the Blue Mind contribution has been, is to
Oh, as
update our
someone,
talking points.
yeah, as someone who has felt that her entire life, that feeling and has been drawn to the water and just feels at home in the water, it was really interesting to read about the science, like the actual physical, tangible science behind it, where it's true. It's not just, oh, I love the beach. It's we love the beach for a reason and we love to be
Yeah.
in the water for a reason.
Mhm.
I do want you to talk a little bit about the Blue Mind movement and how people can kind of involve themselves in that.
Yeah, so what's happened, before I dive into the Blue Mind movement, the word movement has kind of changed in its usage, and what it used to mean was something pretty big. I think the word is used kind of differently now to mean I have the hashtag and an Instagram account. I'm starting a movement. Um, I didn't set out to start a movement. 10 years into it, I realized that had happened.
Mhm.
So when I use the word movement with kind of capital M. And so what that means, at least what that means to me, is there are wide, diverse group of people, organizations, agencies, and businesses who have taken Blue Mind science and practice and run it up their flagpole in some way as ambassadors. Surf therapy groups and conservation organizations and people protecting rivers, groups that take veterans out kayaking, groups like Force Blue that helps special ops veterans get involved in coral reef conservation and sea turtle protection. Not to mention people who do wellness retreats or sell pools or boats or kayaks or stand-up paddle boards. They're all understanding that their products, their services are good for the health and well-being of people who use them. So all of those different groups, I would say, have embraced Blue Mind and are part of the movement. So if you're wondering how do you get involved, I guess just by wondering how to get involved means you're probably involved. And we do different events. You can go to thebluemindmovement.com and that'll take you to the Patreon page where you can support the work. Tons of free content. All you have to do is Google Blue Mind and whatever you're interested in, and you'll find writing and podcasts and films, documentaries, articles, really all around the world in all kinds of languages. And so really we invite everybody who wants to take this idea and make it more accessible. And that's really the overall goal, is to make Blue Mind common knowledge and common practice for everyone. And when we say everyone, we mean 8.1 billion people. I think we all need to understand this. And I didn't learn any of this in school, and I went to a lot of school. I don't know if you ever learned about, anything like Blue Mind in school. I think we all should learn it in school when we're little kids and when we're in high school, certainly when we're in college or graduate school, and endeavoring to dedicate our lives to protecting and restoring the health of people and the planet. On a water planet, I think it should be common knowledge and common practice, no matter where you are. So if you're in Oklahoma, you can practice Blue Mind every single day. If you're in Florida or California or Alaska, Hawaii, wherever, anywhere in the world, you have a different kind of access than Oklahoma and Nebraska.
Right.
But you can do it. And so that's really the message. And if that resonates with people, please just learn what you need to learn and apply it in your own life, in your personal life, but also in your professional life, as you're doing with the nonprofit and for-profit work you're involved in. And if you have questions, just ping me. I'm around.
Yes, that's amazing. Thank you so much for touching on that and getting people the information they need to get involved in that. So we wrap up every interview that we do. We have the Ocean Guardian series, which is with, the big names in conservation. And we also have the Ocean Scholars, which is with students coming up in the conservation world. And I always ask everybody we interview, what is the one big issue that we're facing in conservation that you'd like to bring attention to people who are not involved in this field?
I'd say, it's less of an issue in the sense of the issues you hear about, plastic pollution and climate change and extinction and biodiversity. It's more of a issue of creative apex leadership, I would call it. So when people I've experienced it with Blue Mind and some of the sea turtle work we did years ago. When you have a good idea and it's a good idea, you may experience a lack of support for your big new idea. You may not get grants or financial backing. Your mentors and advisors in academia may not understand. You may get eyeball rolls when you talk about it. And that's partly because people are, siloed and in their box and trying to, get through their days. And it can stop a lot of young people from pursuing really good ideas. And so that is an issue when it happens. That's how we make progress. We've got all kinds of problems to solve, like tons. They're everywhere you look. We can redesign almost everything and it'll be better. And I'm hopeful that's what's going to happen. We need to protect and restore places that we've messed up and species that are diminished. So we haven't figured it all out. So these new creative ideas and new ways of thinking and working are really needed. So when you get that headwind and the eyeball rolls and when you're told you're wrecking your career by writing a book about blue mind, as I was, keep your head up and stick with it. And maybe you might need a side gig, like driving Uber or waiting tables. That's what artists and creative people have always done in the pursuit of their craft. So I don't think environmental work is really any different if you're ahead of the curve. So stick with it and be persistent. And I've worked on, I can count 7 major projects that I was told were career suicide in that, using that term or something similar. And never was it. Or maybe it was, I don't know, maybe my career is like just dead as a door now, I don't know.
No.
But here we are. But it's just reflecting on that is just a reminder that, yeah, the people who are sometimes in charge don't always know what to do. They're sometimes just holding on to what the status quo in some form. So, and this is not just for younger people, it's for all of us. If you see a need and it feels really creative and new, and just because nobody's doing it yet or talking about it, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So I think that's one of the biggest barriers to really progress in any realm, including in the environmental realm, is kind of like I said at the beginning, the lack of creative apex leadership. So what do we need? Creative apex leaders. And if you feel like you're one of those, thank you. Stand strong, keep your head up, keep moving forward, be kind, stay calm, don't burn out, because there's a lot of work to do and it's a long road. Can reflect on the experience working with sea turtles that recovery of a sea turtle population is very slow. It's not a year or 2 year or even 5 year thing. It's many decades before you see the results. So roll up your sleeves and stay hydrated.
Yeah.
It's a long marathon, and pace yourself and make sure you practice blue mind every day so that you can be resilient and strong and stay connected to each other and to yourself, and especially to the environment that we're working to protect. So yeah, that was a long answer to a
Yeah.
very simple question.
That was beautiful. I absolutely love it. And, speaking with the people younger than me in this field coming up, it's only getting better. And I can very much appreciate everyone and it's the younger kids they are passionate, and it's really fun to watch them and
It
to be
is.
involved with them. Well, I do want to thank you so much. It was an honor to have you. And I really look forward to seeing what you do in the future and to maybe working together someday. And it was just a joy to talk to you.
Likewise, thank you for inviting me and look forward to more collaboration.
Yes, thank you so much.